Okay, so we're good. I can see it now. We're on. So I want to welcome all of you that are coming on. We still have about 10 minutes before we officially start, but I like to do a little bit of a pre-show. So I will start that in just a few minutes. Q&A is good. Chat still disabled. Yeah, thanks, Fred. I really am not techie enough to figure out why. It says everybody can chat. So we'll use the Q&A tonight. Not a problem at all. So thank you for sharing that with me. The weird thing with the Q&A is it asked me to answer live. And then I'll just click answer live and be done. But I'm going to answer auditorially instead of typing. And for those people on Instagram, if you want to be on and see the actual slides, just go to my link in the bio, which is up there. Again, I put on this webinar tonight. The reason I wanted to do this because I had a few videos that had a lot of interest and demand, and I was getting overwhelmed with the number of questions. And I felt like it would be better served if we just take a little bit of time and I address those questions for you from my background and from my perspective. So I'll kind of be presenting that tonight. We'll talk about several different things from the banking system to other systems, also cryptocurrency, investing, and we'll talk about really what's going on a global scale that I find that a lot of people are not aware of. And it's kind of scary when you realize so many people are not aware of what's happening on a global scale that's creating systemic risk for everybody. And that's what I've studied for the last 30 years. And that's why I wanted to share it, because it's important that people are aware, you know, and I think that's what I want to do tonight, just give you a lot of value. I hope tonight you will get a lot of value out of this. It's going to be pretty quick. I'm not going to take your whole night here. We'll probably do it about an hour. We'll be finished. So I want to make sure that your questions are on track and on point, so that we can make sure you get your questions answered. Now, keep in mind, I don't know everything, obviously. I only am going to share what I do know. And what I do know, it comes from a tremendous amount of study, research, travel, and so forth. So I want you to know that. So tonight we're going to be talking about the dollar demise. And, you know, it's funny because some people came onto Instagram and they give their little trolling comments. But a lot of people say, oh, you're just fear-mongering. But I want you to understand something, that it's really not about panicking, it's about preparation. I've learned in my life that when I really get more light shining into the darkness, you don't have as much fear, right? Like when I was a little kid, I remember my mom used to leave the hall light on for me because she is a bartender, and I was home alone a lot, and there was always boogeymen in the dark, imagination. But she told me if I left the hall light on, they would go away, and they did, because I could see. And that's what we want to do, is just bring more light to the topics so that people are not so panicked or afraid, although fear is natural in a state where you have uncertainty and potential threats to a lot of things in our lives. But it's really about preparation, okay? So if you're prepared, you're going to find your risk levels go down and your fear goes down as well. So that's my goal tonight, is to help you on many levels. Nothing's going to be sold tonight. I'm not here to sell you anything. I am a coach and I am a speaker. I do a lot of things. If you ever want to work with me, I'll leave that up to you if you feel that you resonate. But tonight's really about giving you value. And I want to do that and educate you on some areas that maybe you're not aware of, and maybe you are. So all I can do is give you what I've spent years and years studying, and hopefully it will benefit you and your family. That's the most important thing tonight. So in another minute or so, I'm going to just do the pre-show, and then we'll get rolling right into it. Now, if you're on Instagram, you won't be able to see the slides, but I will try to repeat the question if you're on Instagram, and I will repeat the question and then answer it to the best of my ability. And I'll make sure that you can hear that as well. But again, if you do have access to the link in my bio, you can go ahead and jump on the webinar itself, and we'll get rolling.
I'll answer questions too.
Okay, good. Thank you. I am recording this, and I did set it up as on demand. So hopefully this never always happens the right way, but hopefully there'll be a recording of this. I've had it happen where it doesn't happen. So I'm glad you're here live. I think this time is so critical to have this information. Okay, so let's start rolling here. I'm going to have a little bit of videos and things just to kind of tell you a little bit about me, and then we'll get rolling. Okay, so
again, you have a question for Vince Dowd,
everybody hear that?
464-2735 or 800-422-5949. 35. Let's go to line 4. Who's this, please?
Yeah, this is Vic LaRusso.
Hi.
Vince. So, question, please. I see you're into leaps. I was thinking if we bought a leap using your stock you illustrated, I think you said you liked Dell. Let's say we have a leap on that. Can you give me some idea about what a long-term leap would cost?
I can give you an idea, but of course you're going to have to check with your broker because the market changes so quick it's hard to say. But if you're looking out to about the year 2000 and you're looking somewhere around the $60 or $65 range, which is right now I believe out of the money. I think Dell was at 50 something today, 55. You're going to probably look at about $16 to $18. Okay, and that's for about, was that 16, 17 months between now and the year 2000. 2001, you're going to look around $24 probably. If you buy in the money, it's going to be a better buy for you because you're going to pay less on time, but it's going to cost you maybe $30, $40. But that is definitely worth it because, of course, if you look at the company, it's a strong candidate, a growing company, and it's going to give you a leveraged position to purchase the stock in the year 2001.
Again, you have
Dr. Monica Mallet here, and I want to talk a little bit about my experience working with Vincent Dowd. First of all, Vincent Dowd he's great. He's well connected. Not connected in a sense of being connected in the world, which he is that too, but he's connected to the source of what makes everyone great. And he has this ability to communicate and express how you too can connect to that source. So if you've been through any traumatic experiences, if you like to run and hide and not really feel and be great and walk in your purpose, Vincent is the one that you want to connect with, the one that you want to work with, because I have learned that my body keeps the score. So all the traumatic experiences I've been through, all of the things that I go through on a daily basis, he just gave me tools and resources and just quick tricks that I can access to help me walk in my purpose and be great, and to remind me that I am connected to the source that has created everything. And that, in my opinion, is greater than gold. So, Vincent, thank you for everything. Thank you for your service. Thank you for sharing your heart and your wisdom, your experience, and your expertise with me. It has helped me tremendously. Thank you.
Hi, Vincent. I just wanted to jump on here right quick to let you know that I used one of your tips yesterday. In one of your sessions, you told us about how instead of introducing what we do by saying, I am a coach who helps, I actually turned that around and said, according to my clients, they tell me that I help them to build highly effective teams to allow them more work-life balance and promotional opportunities. I can tell you, it went well. I got the job. Thank you.
Imagine if you could find someone who could totally help you communicate a clear and concise and really motivating and inspirational message. Do you think that could change the way you view things or the way you might help other people view things? Well, I think after talking to Vince and being on a recent webinar of his, I think he's a guy who can certainly help you move in that direction. He's got a 50,000-foot view of this world and some of the stuff that happens in it, and I think that's a really useful perspective to have on things to help you improve your communication skills. Just the small amount of time that I've spent with him, it's already helping me improve my communication skills. And I think you might be able to tell just by the intro on this video that I've employed one of Vince's techniques already. So, I highly recommend his information, his videos, and his training. So, Vince, thank you so much for the video last night, or the webinar last night, and I hope to do more work with you. Thanks. Talk to you soon.
When I met Vince, I was really timid about entering the stock market.
This is an opportunity. If I don't grab it, it might never come again.
I was drawn to it and I thought this could be good. I've tried some other programs that just didn't click.
You were holding my hand through the whole process from the day I joined your group right through to the day I took my first trade.
The Traders Cadre program has shifted my confidence level in preparing for my future and managing my future in an empowered way.
I just didn't have the confidence. I was so super nervous.
I couldn't get my head wrapped around it.
I knew some about the stock market, but I was very gun shy in my growth.
The reason why I wanted to join the Traders Cadre group was because to me it felt like a complete package.
Made a great difference in this moment of my life, and it has changed. It is better, and really I thanks the universe to have got this opportunity.
But the one thing that really is helping me is the meditation. At first I thought I didn't really know what I was doing. I was way over my head. And then a couple of weeks ago, I was actually sitting down with a friend of mine, and we got on the topics of stocks, ironically. And when I was done the conversation and he left, I was like, even my wife, I was like, wow, I sound like I know a lot.
Because you kept encouraging me and you kept saying, look, Sabina, you need to do this. You can do this.
I just kept making winning trades. It'd be $700 here, $700 there.
It's taught you how to use these tools to be able to find your own sort of stocks and setups in a proficient way that you actually don't have to rely on anybody else.
Vincent has shown me how to do it smartly and less risk, and it's fun.
You've learned so much. You think you don't know, but you have learned so much over the weeks and months that we've been having the webinars, and that was so true.
The daily activities with my person, my family, my wife has really improved a lot, and that has been finally put into the trade market, the trading business activities, with positive results so far.
My portfolio is growing, and it's growing much faster than if I didn't have Vince's help. Much faster.
Hi, I'm Kevin Harrington, an original shark from the hit TV show Shark Tank. I'm here to talk about Vince Dowd. Vince is an amazing guy. He's a speaker, a motivator, a trainer, a coach, and I've seen him fulfill amazing dreams for people by helping them take their business to the next level, but also as a marketing guy, he's fills rooms by motivating people to take action.
Vincent Dowd is an amazing individual. He started off with his first business at 16 years old. And not only was it a business, it wasn't a lemonade stand, it was a dojo. It was a martial arts school. That means the man is disciplined in martial arts and he's disciplined in business. He also went on to trade options and stocks. He then also taught around the world in 40 different countries, over 200,000 entrepreneurs. And that didn't take a little bit of time. That took 20 years. He served our country in the Air Force, and he also took a small stint to teach our children, and I can't even teach my own kids. So you know this man is qualified.
Okay, welcome everybody. It's on, we're a little bit over, but I wanted to at least get the video reel in there so you kind of have a little bit of background about me. Just so you know, like Damon said, I've spoken all over the world. I've worked with Damon John for 3 years, shared the stage with Tony Robbins and many of the big names. And I've written 4 books. So I'm coming to you with experience and a lot of credentials that I've learned from some of the top minds in the world. So I'm just sharing with you tonight what I know. Again, I don't know everything. My ultimate goal is to help you to look at making decisions in this current environment that can benefit you and your family, to mitigate fear and to increase your peace, not only internally, but externally as well. So I call this the dollar demise, panic to preparation. Again, it's not about panicking, it's about preparing yourself so that whatever happens, you're in a better position either way. Again, we will be going for only about an hour tonight. If you decide you want more information or want to work with me at any level, you can always email me. But let me just get into it. Tonight, I'm not selling you anything. This is not a sales event. This is just an educational giving back. I want you to learn some things tonight that I've learned on my journey. And I encourage you to research it. You know, it's important too. One thing I've learned in many years in teaching over 350,000 people is don't look for a confirmation bias. And what that means is a lot of times people come to trainings or go to seminars and they're looking for a speaker that's going to confirm what they already believe. And the problem with that is if you're listening to people or you're just always around people that confirm what you already believe, then you really don't need anybody to be around you because everybody thinks the same. So what happens is when we actually look at people who think differently and challenge us, it helps us to grow, right? And so I'd encourage you, if something resonates with you, that's great. If something doesn't resonate, maybe write it down and see if there's more you could learn about it. Okay, my intent's never to offend people, never. But I do tell the truth and I say it without sugarcoating. And one thing I learned from one of my great teachers, who's a guru, an Indian guru from a yogi, he said, Vince, you have a lot of buttons on you. And I didn't know what he meant. He goes, you have buttons and I'm going to be pushing them. And he said, what you want to do is most people want to get rid of the button pusher because they agitate you. It could be your wife, your kids, people in traffic. He said, instead, get rid of the button. When you can get rid of your button and nobody can impact you that way, you have total power. But when they can push your button, they've taken your power. And that made me realize that the offense is never outside of us. It's always in us. If people get offended, I always say, write down what offends you because there's an area that needs healing. Okay. So I'm just sharing that because that helped me tremendously. No advice is given or implied tonight. I will be sharing strategies, information, or education. And I'm just sharing this not as a full-on training, but more to help you start your journey or help you with some ideas maybe. But check with your financial advisors if you're going to invest in anything. I'm not here to tell you what to do. I'm just sharing things I have done. And if it resonates, that's a beautiful thing. Now, I will have you know tonight's solutions and gifts. We're going to talk about how to navigate the economic system in changing times and diversification among asset classes to reduce your risk. It's important to have diversification in a world where you can't figure out what's working and what's not. Understanding the changing world order, I'm going to educate you a little on this. If you're not already familiar, tonight you might have some awakening in understanding some things, and to help understand the global plan for control, which is happening. Finally, to discover the true security that resides within each of us. So we operate in our power, in presence, and in our purpose. So that's the ultimate goal tonight. I want to start off with this. Ray Dalio, who's one of the largest, if not the largest, fund managers in the world, and I followed him for years. He said this recently, and you can go research this on YouTube. There's 3 forces impacting us today that we haven't seen before. That's number 1, the creation of massive debt and currency printing, and the Federal Reserve's printing like crazy. Number 2 is the internal conflict, and that's due, and you can see this every day, guys. We see it on Instagram. We see it on the news. People are fighting each other like I've never seen in my 54 years of living. And it's caused a lot of times by, well, I think there's an agenda behind it, but there's also the wealth gap. We have the wealth gap where the few control almost everything and the masses don't have a lot of control. And that's creating a lot of anger inside of people. And then a rising power, which is China and Russia as well. But these two coming together, creating a rising power to threaten the current superpower, which is America. I do have, for those of you that stick around, some free gifts for you. So if you want to stick around till the end, I will give you the information. I want to give you a free gift, and that's my new book called Crack the Code to Stock Market Success. And even though it's about the stock market, I put some really good information in there that you might want to learn if you have kids in school or anybody that you know that's in public school, because I think it'll open your eyes to something that's happened a long time ago that's fulfilling the prophecy now, if you will. So I'll give you that information here in a bit. Let me just tell you briefly about my background so you understand where I came from and why I'm doing this. I grew up in Denver, Colorado. I came from a broke family. My mom and dad were alcoholics, and every night all I did is try to sleep, but I couldn't because they were fighting over the lack of money. And I flunked kindergarten, and my teacher said I was special. They used to call me short bus with my friends. So I felt like I wasn't good enough, right? And I got that feeling from my family and from society. But listening to my parents fight every night, I knew that it was mostly because we didn't have any money. So as a little boy, I was programmed, like so many kids are, by hearing their parents. And I realized if I could make money, I could heal my family. So my whole focus became, how do I go get rich so I can help my family be happy? And as a little boy, that's what I thought money would do. I didn't know that the real problem was not money. Money was just a byproduct. Not having money was a byproduct of their own internal dysfunctions. So anyway, I went out, I joined the martial arts because I was picked on a lot as a kid. And I started to, my first business was Taekwondo schools. And I started teaching at 16 years old as a black belt. And that led me to understand I loved working with people. I ended up joining the Air Force. That's because the movie Top Gun came out in 1986 and it looked really good. And I didn't know what I was going to do with my life. And I believed that I was going to be Tom Cruise. But once I joined the Air Force, I found out that's not exactly what happens. So I didn't last very long. I got out with honorable discharge, but I did not enjoy my time. What really led me to making money is at 28, I moved back in with my mom. I was broke. I was worse off at 28 than I was at 19. I was $30,000 in personal debt. $30,000. And it felt horrible. I had 2 jobs. I was doing odd jobs trying to make money, modeling my mom, who taught me as a kid, if you need money, you go to work. When my dad left, she kicked him out when I was 4 years old. She got 3 jobs. And I thought that's what you're supposed to do. You get more money, more time. And so what happened is this. I was broke and getting worse. Then I heard about a stock market seminar. My mom listened to talk radio. And I went to this seminar in Denver and I was blown away. But this guy was talking about making money using options trading. And I wanted to do it. It was a really expensive program. It was just under $4,000. And I almost said I couldn't afford it, but I did it anyway. I figured it out because I knew if I didn't change, nothing's going to change my life. And I was reading the book by Rich Dad, Poor Dad, Robert Kiyosaki. And he says, broke people always say they can't afford something and they never will be able to afford anything. Wealthy people always ask, how do I do this? How do I make it happen? You turn on the mind versus turning it off. And that's what changed my life. So in a year and a half, I changed my whole life, made a tremendous amount of money, became very successful trading options. And then I started to teach it all over the world. This was me on the financial channels in my younger years. Then I became an international speaker, working with very big names and brands all over the world, over 40 countries and 300,000 people. I was investing in real estate, trading the markets, investing in private placements. And then I got hit really hard in the 2008 crisis. And I had a lot of properties that were in pre-construction. And I lost a ton of money. And it was the worst time in my life because I felt like I was a failure. But it became the best time in my life because I ended up living in a forest with this gentleman here who's a guru from India. And I learned about the interdimensional wealth and understanding that what we're chasing on the external is all temporary and transitory. And it's simply an illusion. And in the world of duality, you cannot get wealthy without experiencing the pain of the other side. So there's both sides to this scale, right? And actually during a deep yoga session called Yoga Nidra, I saw before me all the money I chased, everything that I did. And then it took me back and it showed me my poverty when I was a kid and all the struggles. And it basically flashed into my eyes that you can never be happy when you're wealthy if you cannot be happy in poverty. You've got to understand it's the same thing in duality. And that woke me up. So I started to work on the inner dimensions of myself. And that's where I am now. Even though I still teach financial stuff from time to time, it's more about who we are inside. Because at the end of the day, the only control we have is within us, not outside of us. So that's a little bit about my background. I want you to know I do teach from a yoga perspective. So I'm still on the journey, and I will share that. So if it resonates with you, that's wonderful. If it doesn't, that's fine as well. Okay. I'll take questions in a minute, guys. Let me get through this and we'll get going. So my new focus now is I'm a coach. Okay. I'm a mental alchemist. I help people change to conscious communication, which shifts your life. I help people go deep inside themselves to release trauma. But also what I've discovered is wealth is not about what you do out here in the real world. It's about who you are inside, the way you align with the way you feel, think, and move. Okay, so it's really important to get the inner work done, because if that's not done, I don't care how much money you make or how much you feel safe, you're not safe, because you're always going to be in a turbulent world. Okay, so my website, I'll tell you more about later if you want. I have some free gifts for you there, but let's dive into it. First of all, let me see, somebody asked a question. I'm going to be making this kind of open for you to ask some questions. I kind of planned a couple things, but I'm thinking it might be better if I just have you ask some questions, we get those answered, and I'll kind of pop around my slides. I see here that, is it Bahisma? If I said that right, if I botch your name, I'm so sorry. Being dyslexic, I struggle with long names. She says, I have joined in Saudi Arabia. It's 4 a.m. here. Can you mention on how to diverge from the US dollar collapse first? It's way past bedtime. Okay, yes. Okay, so I don't know exactly what your question is, but let me share this. The world is changing right now. In fact, I'm going to just pop ahead my slide real quick, and I'm going to show you this so you understand. 1 second, guys. Let me move this over. Okay, well, let me just show you this real quick. So what I want you to understand is we are in an age that nobody in this room has lived through, including myself. We are at what we call the end of a 100-year debt cycle. That's called a long-term debt cycle. So to explain how this happened, after the last World War, we had a League of Nations come together to create a new world order, which we're under right now, that's falling apart. And what happens is there's usually a major war. We experienced that. They came together and they created a new world order. The United States became the reserve currency. So every other country in the world anchored their currency to the US dollar. The dollar at that time was backed by gold or precious metal, which is real money. Currency is not real money, it's fiat. The paper dollar backed by gold had real value, which was tangible. But that didn't last long, because in 1971, President Nixon took us off the gold standard, and therefore all the other currencies got screwed as well. And it caused massive problems around the world. But America became very wealthy during this time because a gentleman, which I'll show you here, this gentleman here, this is Henry Kissinger. Once Nixon took us off the gold standard, he sent Henry Kissinger to Saudi Arabia to work a deal with the House of Saud. And basically what Henry Kissinger said is this: if you will sell your oil in dollars, making all countries change their currency to dollars, we will protect you because we have bombs, we have nuclear, we will make sure you will have no wars. And they made that agreement. So the US dollar went from a gold-backed security to a petrodollar. And that's what caused the wealth in America, because every other country had to trade their currency for dollars, making a demand for dollars. And we became very successful as a nation. And that's why so many Americans have lived in really high standards compared to the rest of the world. The problem is that is ending. In fact, let me go back here. So what happens is the bubble, by the way, if you are on Instagram and you're watching, you can go to the live bio above on my live bio, and we have a link to join the Zoom if you want to watch the slides. Okay, so just go to the bio on Instagram if you want to watch. But the debt bubble, now what happened is they started creating this quantitative easing. The debt bubble grew and grew. And you can see we have a $31 trillion debt, right? $31 trillion is astronomical, and it's going up faster and faster. It's unsustainable. So what's happening now is the American economy is starting to collapse, but also the global economy. So the debt bust and the downturn started to happen. We see the black swan events that happen, whether it's 9/11 or the stock market crisis, the credit crisis. And then they start to print more and more money, the Federal Reserve, and this creates inflation, right? And we saw this happen in the Weimar Republic. We've seen it happen in Zimbabwe and more recently Venezuela. And I know a lot of people from Venezuela who see the same thing happening today in America. So I'm telling you, that's why they're pushing the wars, because the people behind what they want to do for this next world order, they need to have war, because if you look through history, every empire that has risen and fallen has done so by having a war. And whoever wins that war gets to create the rules for the new world order. And that's why Ukraine is happening like it is. This is not something that's an accident. This is orchestrated. And there's enough evidence if you research it, but a lot of people don't because they watch the news. So then they're going to do a debt and political restructuring, and they'll come up with a new world order. Now, here's the problem, guys. The people that are behind the new world order, well, first of all, let me go back a little bit. I'm going to go back here to the banking system. So the banks, right? The banks are run by the Federal Reserve. Who's familiar with the Federal Reserve? Raise your hand if you are. I can't see you, but I'm sure you're raising your hand. And a lot of people don't know this, but the Federal Reserve is not federal. They're a private company and they have no reserves. So it doesn't even make sense, but they have a fancy logo that makes you think that they're federal. Well, the whole job of the Federal Reserve is to steal your money. And how do they do that? If you put your money in a bank, remember, your money reflects your time, your blood, your tears, working for somebody else, trading time for money. You put that in a bank, and now you've just given the bank your money. And the bank has what they call a fractional reserve banking, right? Fractional reserve banking means for every dollar you have in the bank, they can create out of thin air $10. And they'll loan that out and they'll make interest on it. It's a Ponzi scheme. So if your money's in a bank, you're in trouble because the banks are starting to collapse. SVB, Deutsche Bank's on its last legs. Banks are not where you want your money, but the banking system is trying to keep alive the control they have over our lives, and they have for a long period of time. So that's what Bretton Woods is. Bretton Woods was the agreement to have the dollar be the reserve currency, and the Federal Reserve is behind a lot of this, right? So the banking system is corrupt. If you want to learn more about it, I recommend you read this book. It was a life changer for me. I read it years and years ago. It's called The Creature from Jekyll Island by G. Edward Griffin. And basically it says when a fiat currency, which is a fake currency, a paper currency backed by nothing except faith of the people, usually they last only 35 years before they implode on themselves. We've lasted longer than that, but we're on our last legs. Usually when you get a debt to GDP ratio of 200%, you're going to find that country be a Venezuela, a Zimbabwe, a Weimar Republic, and America is at 130% debt to GDP. And we're moving very fast to a deeper graveyard. So what I'm trying to tell you is people believe the dollar is going to be around because in their lifetime it's been around. You're not looking back at history if you're looking at that. You need to look back thousands of years and watch every debt cycle and how it ends. They all end the same way. I'm not telling you this is going to end the same way. I'm just saying the odds are pretty good it's going to end the same way. And there's going to be a change of power. Now, that debt cycle is going to create this new world. Now, why are people around the world hating America? Because a lot of people in a lot of the BRICS countries want to see America kind of be crushed. And the reason for that, maybe if you've read the book Confessions of an Economic Hitman, it talks about how America has used our brute force to control a lot of other countries and installed our regimes into their countries and destroyed their economies and their people. And people remember this, and that's bad karma. So what's happening is America used to be able to control the world by putting sanctions on them through the SWIFT code. And the SWIFT code is what you use when you wire money, right? And because that was the only way people could move money internationally, we could choke them out and cut them off. So these other countries started to realize we need another way around this. China has developed the CIPS program. And there's other programs out there where they can move money around the United States without having the bully hand of the bankers. And that's who it is. It's not the American people. It's the bankers, the corrupt people that run the planet, which is the Federal Reserve Bank. And if you do a lot of deep digging on this, you're going to realize how ingrained they are in everything. And now it's starting to break down this old order. The problem is the people right now that are behind the new world order that's coming, they're not very good people. Let me show you this. I'll show you in a minute. But the first thing I want to bring to your attention is for cryptocurrency. So we're going to talk about crypto here, but cryptocurrency, the first one that was invented, I remember it was 2011 or 12. I'm not sure the exact date. Let me show you real quick. It was Bitcoin. I'm going to take you to Bitcoin here. So after the real estate crisis and I had lost a lot of money, I was watching RTTV. And a gentleman came on by the name of Max Kaiser, very educated man. You can watch him on YouTube. And he said, you should be buying Bitcoin. It's going to change the world. Now, at that time, I didn't have a lot of money because I got wiped out. I had like money, but I was going to invest $1,000 in Bitcoin. It was trading at $5 a coin at the time. I didn't know what Bitcoin was, but as I listened to him, it made a lot of sense that the future would be digital. My heart, now here's the thing I want to delineate between my heart and my head. My heart said, do it. I felt it in my body. And all of you know truth. You always know truth because it resonates in your body. You feel it, but oftentimes we don't listen to it. So I wanted to buy Bitcoin. I was going to put $1,000 in it, $5 a coin. And I went to go do it, and it was too complicated. So my mind said, this is too complicated, Vince. You flunked kindergarten. You're dyslexic. This is going to be too hard to figure out. So I talked myself out of it. That was the dumbest thing I ever did in my life. Because had I invested that $1,000 at $5, that would have turned into $18 million when Bitcoin hit 60,000 a coin. So that would have been the best thing ever. Now, I want you to know I wasn't totally stupid. So when I watched it and eventually it went to $60 and I decided I'm doing this and I felt right about it, but I also went through the head problem of it's too complicated and I figured it out. And I'm going to tell you that when you start to look at opportunity, feel it. Don't get caught up in the lies of the mind because the mind is always manipulating us. It's duality, right? So a lot of times we're fed a lot of crap, but you'll feel truth. You'll feel if it resonates with you or not. Okay. So I did buy Bitcoin at 60, the best investment I've ever made. And that's the beginning for me of what crypto was about. But crypto was not just about money. It was about sovereignty because we are under attack for our freedoms and our rights. So then a lot of new other currencies came out. And recently they've put together what they call ISO 222 migration. Now, this is basically meaning that all the banks are coming together to create a faster and better language for all of us to get money very quickly. And it's not money, it's currency. Money is real value. Currency is manipulated, right? So it's currency. But the old systems didn't work. And you know that when you've done a wire or use, these telegram services or whatever, it takes forever to get money. I believe the blockchain that is the engine behind Bitcoin is the best thing created in modern time. It will allow us, if we wake up as a people, to run our lives without government, because it can be done through smart contracts. And it even gets rid of the problems with trust, okay? Also, we don't need bankers who control us and steal money from us by manipulating the money supply. That's what they're doing. Their only reason people are struggling is because the bankers manipulate on a daily basis. If we wake up and realize the blockchain can be used peer-to-peer without bankers and without politicians, and we can still have a very well-run world and economy with more freedom and more wealth for all people, that's why I got involved in Bitcoin. Not for the crap about making more money. You see, a lot of people want to buy Bitcoin to buy dollars, or to buy crypto and to sell it to make more dollars. The dollar's dead. You got to stop thinking that I want more dollars. Dollar is going to be dead. You got to think, what is the new wealth? What is the new means of exchange in the world? And you need to be there first. That's why I heard about Bitcoin. I knew that was going to be big. I felt it in my body. I didn't know, I felt it. So here's some currencies. I'm not telling you to buy these, but I would recommend you research these. These are the currencies right now that have ISO 222 that are actually probably going to be around, but you need to do your due diligence here. And basically, those are the currencies. You can take a picture of it if you want to. For those of you on Instagram, it's Quant, QNT. QNT is the ticker symbol. And these are cryptocurrencies. Ripple, which is XRP. Stellar Lumens, which is XLM. Xylophone Lima Mountain. Hedera, which is HBAR. HBAR, IOTA, which is IOTA. I bought that when it first came out. That's called the Internet of Things coin. It was very fascinating. And then XDC, which is XDC, and then Algorand, which is ALGO, like algo. So you might want to research those. I am not an expert at ISO 222. I don't like the fact that the central bankers are getting involved because they're just trying to create a new digital prison for us. And that's what I'm concerned about, is our freedom. So keep in mind tonight, I highly encourage you to do your due diligence on any of this. There is an agenda to reset the entire global economy and create a scare for people to act accordingly so that they can implement their system. It's called the Hegelian dialectic. The Hegelian dialectic means you create the problem and then you already have created a solution that you want the people to accept. And when you hit the people with the problem, they're going to cry out for help, and you insert your agenda and they'll be glad to take it. People are very easy to manipulate. And I'm going to show you that because it's happening so quickly and so many people are not seeing it. So when I first heard about this, it sounded crazy and people still think it's a conspiracy, but the World Economic Forum, who meets in Davos every year, they're even blatantly telling you right now, we are going to reset the economy. And COVID became their catalyst to do it. And that's why I'm a rebel against the whole COVID thing, because I researched it very heavily and I realized that they're using this to steal every freedom we have and to put us into this system that they want. They've been creating this for decades. If you go onto the World Economic Forum website and do your homework, you will see they've been creating this for a long time to enslave the people. In fact, Klaus Schwab, and I'm sure you're hearing more about this, Klaus Schwab said it very clearly. And by the way, Russell Brand, he's kind of switching and waking up to show people what's going on. Klaus Schwab said by 2030, you will own nothing and be happy. Well, they have an agenda to do that. How are they going to do that? They're already doing it, guys. What they're doing is going to cause most people to be broke and struggle, and then they will insert what they want. You'll be happy. Well, I don't think so. They'll be happy because they'll own everything, and you'll be a slave in the world today. So we want to avoid that. That's why I'm a big believer in Bitcoin. That's one of the assets I invest in because it's not controllable by any government. They can control the on-ramp and the off-ramp, but they can't control it. The software is built where they cannot centralize that power. It is powerful because the people all together control Bitcoin, not a few global elitists who live in Brussels or in Switzerland. So this is why, to me, it's not about money, it's about freedom. Your freedom is more important than any money you'll ever make. And people don't know that until they lose it. And then sometimes it's too late. So I mentioned that they came out with the Fed Now. If you watch my videos, the digital dollar, they're trying to create the central bank digital currency. So they've just come out with Fed Now, and they're starting to roll it out. By July, they're going to be rolling it hard, and they're going to give you a digital wallet, and the Federal Reserve wants to send money to you directly. Now, how are they going to get people to accept this? Just like they did with COVID. You offer free money and people will sign up for it, not knowing they're putting themselves in a digital prison that will track you, monitor you, and allow them to turn off your money when you're spending too much money on the global footprint. When you're spending too much on plane tickets on vacation, they're going to say you've overused your global carbon footprint and they're going to shut you down. This is exactly the model that China is using now. And they're all in bed together at the World Economic Forum. So Joe Biden signed an executive order last year called 14067 to study the digital dollar. And they have implemented this and they're moving fast. They want to get rid of paper money because it will force deposits. If you have money outside their system, they don't like that. So they're going to force all your money to be put into their system so they can see what you have, what you're spending it on. It is a prison. It's the easiest way to control people is to take control of the money. Take control of the food, the money, and the oil, and you control the people. So I'm just saying we need to be aware of this and help others to be aware because we have the power. We always have, but we're sleeping and we have veils over our eyes and we don't understand what's happening because they're manipulating us with tactics that I learned as a speaker from neuro-linguistic programming. Even MK Ultra, which they studied, is on the news. This stuff is crazy, guys. They just came out with this last week. The International Monetary Fund has created a new global currency. It's called the unicorn. You can research it. They are pushing very hard and very fast to lock us in. So those are the things that are happening. One other thing I wanted to mention is BlackRock is a very big contributor at the World Economic Forum. They created the ESG program, which I'm sure you've heard about, which stands for Environment, Social, and Governance. And that's going to destroy every country there is, because they're going to force you to do things that are not in your best interest, but are in theirs because they're going to get carbon credits. Sri Lanka, who's bankrupt now, was the top leader with the highest ESG score. And look what happened to their country. Because BlackRock owns so much of the companies and has so much influence, they're trying to push this around the globe. And companies are falling in line. And this is why we're having such a problem. We need to wake up, and we need to wake others up, or at least attempt to let them know through education, because it will change everything when we are controlled by ESG. In fact, the World Business Council said the next lockdown will probably be climate change. And there's a lot to that, what they're doing. They're already setting the stage. I want you to be free. I want you to have opportunity. So I'm just going to share this, then I'm going to answer some questions. I've learned by doing this for 30 years, no matter how much money I make, no matter what status I get, it's all coming from my mind. And I can't control the world. I can do my best, but I've learned that the world does its own thing. So I've brought the energy back to myself, and I'm focusing on my heart. Because I think the source energy, you can call it whatever you want to call it. I'll call it source or the absolute. You could call it God. Inside of us, we all have this divine intelligence that knows truth, and it feels truth. We got to move from thinking to feeling. And I want you to know that, hey, at the end of the day, if it gets crazy out there, I'm really turning my focus to help people on inside work, interdimensional work, because it's going to get tough. And I'm going to show you some things maybe to help you, but it's going to get tough. And we're going to have to go through internal work to be at peace in the world, even with crazy stuff going on. You know, and we have the power to be at peace and still send a lot of love to the world, even in the toughest of times. And I think that's what the world's going to shift to. And if we don't, we're in a lot of trouble. Okay. So let me give you a couple of resources. And by the way, if you have any interest in any of that, coaching, anything like that, you can go to my website, which is either vincentdowd.com or authenticelevation.com. I'll show you the link in a minute. And feel free to reach out to me personally if that's what you want to do. But let me give you a couple of resources. This is going to help you get educated. Number one, I want you to watch the principles for dealing with the changing world order. This was put together by Ray Dalio, the top fund manager in the world, who studied this obsessively. He's going to show you, and it's done kind of in an animated way. He's going to show you what's happening and how to prepare. He has a lot of great insight. He's one of the wealthiest men in the world. I think you should pay attention because he also operates from heart and principles. He's a yogi as well. Number two, this one really changed me. I used to work with Robert Kiyosaki from Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Mike Maloney was his gold and silver advisor. He has a whole series on YouTube called The Hidden Secrets of Money. Highly, highly recommend you watch this one. The Hidden Secrets of Money has 10 episodes, but they're going to show you how the entire world's collapsing based on debt. They have to keep creating debt in the American economy for the money to work. And that's why they're pushing everybody to go deeper into debt. You've got to stop that. You got to put the money in yourself and create skills. You shouldn't be buying stuff you don't need with money you don't have to impress people you don't like. That's the model of the consumer. We need to be investor minded and start to put the money in ourselves to get new skills, to commune with people that are like-minded. This will help you a lot, The Hidden Secrets of Money. The other couple of videos is The End of the Dollar. And you can just type that in YouTube, The End of the Dollar. And that's going to help you understand some strategies as well. The New Global Currency Reserve. This one was done by Robert Kiyosaki and Andy Schectman. And by the way, Andy Schectman has a great newsletter on gold and silver. So if you're looking to buy gold and silver, he has a free newsletter you can get. And just watch that video because they really open your eyes to what's going on. Everybody I'm sharing with you knows what's happening. And I've been working with them for decades, guys. So I'm going to tell you, the people that know, and most of the people don't know. They're in a fog, and they're going to really pay a price because they don't know. Economic crisis, Ray Dalio's warning of banking collapse. This is on impact theory. So if you type in economic crisis impact theory, you'll see the one with Ray Dalio. Now, this is some study for you, but I'm going to tell you, there's so much to learn about this, and to get you in a better position, I'm giving you homework, if you will, okay? So you can take a picture of that, by the way, if you're using your camera. Or on Instagram too. What, they can't take a picture?
On Instagram. Go to your website.
Oh yeah, yeah. If you are on Instagram watching, you can go to the bio and click on the link. And I did put it as an on-demand, and I haven't done that before. So hopefully the recording will be available to you even after this, but I'm not sure, because like I couldn't figure out chat, so we'll see how good this works. But it's on the bio. Now, here's what I'm doing personally. The strategies and ideas I have, this is not financial advice. This is just what I've been doing. I learned years and years ago what they were doing in the economy, the matrix, if you will. Everything in the world is run through corporations, your city, your state, your companies, your police department. Everything is corporations through contract law and through attorneys and corporate structures. Therefore, we are really in a bunch of layers of garbage, to be honest. That's why you've got to learn the rules of the road if you're going to play on this road, because you can actually not pay as much money in taxes. You can actually make a lot more money when you learn how to run a business and understand the tax code, which nobody really understands. But you can use the tax code just like Congress does. You know, they all go in there broke and they come out rich, it seems, doesn't it? Well, I think a lot of them go in rich, but many of them go in broke and they come out worth millions, and that doesn't make sense. They're supposed to be servants. So here's what I do. Number one, I highly recommend that you keep cash outside the banking system. Cash in hand is better than cash at a bank that shuts down, and they're already talking about it. It's on, go research it. They're already saying we're going to shut down on a Friday, and they're going to shut the banks down at some point. They're going to have to. I keep money outside the banking system. Okay, you should have money in there to pay your bills, but once your money's in the bank, it's not your money, it's their money, and you're loaning them the money. It's on their assets. You got to read the fine print. Okay, so keep cash out of the bank. It's not a good investment because it's being lost. The value is being lost through inflation. We're at over 12% inflation. If you look at the real numbers, not what the news tells you. So you're losing money if it's in cash. I started buying gold and silver because for thousands of years, this has always been real money. Now, I know we're going into a digital age and some people think it's not good. I don't know. All I know is it's always held its value. 2 gold coins back in 1800 would have bought a men's suit, a really nice men's suit. Today, 2 gold coins would buy you a really nice men's suit. It holds its value, okay? It's not about making money on it. It's about holding real value and systemic risk. Silver is undervalued by a huge margin. It just takes more space to hold. So silver is the better deal because it'll probably go up faster. And it's also used in industry, so it's going to disappear off the periodic table sooner than other elements. Cryptocurrency, listen, they could shut the whole grid down, then your crypto is worth nothing. But I think we're going into a world of everything digital. So I would be researching. I'm a big believer in Bitcoin. I do own Ethereum. I'm not as big of a believer because I believe in Bitcoin having a limited amount, and that creates more scarcity and more demand. If you want to really learn about Bitcoin, read the book, The Bitcoin Standard. It is excellent. The Bitcoin Standard. It will teach you so much about why this is such a critical investment and really a freedom coin to keep people free. This is about freedom to me. But there's other cryptos, you know, there's all kinds of coins. A lot of them are crap and they're going to steal your money. They've lost my money. So just be very cautious with anything that you buy. Do your due diligence and make sure you study the company. I stay with Bitcoin, Ethereum, and a couple of smaller ones that are in ISO 222. MSI means multiple streams of income. Guys, you should have multiple streams. This is not the time to be lazy. Get side hustles if you have to. Use that money and put it in valuable things, okay? I even teach tax lien courses. I'm not going to get into it here, but you can Google tax liens and you can actually pay people's property taxes and make up to 50% on your money backed by the property, mandated by state law. It's the wealthy have been doing it since the inception of America, and most Americans don't even know it exists. So you can pay the property tax and get nice returns. You know, I'm talking about 25% in 6 months in Texas, 18% in Florida, 16% in Arizona. Those are examples. So you can Google that or you can send me a private message. I can share more on that with you. Another big thing is to increase your skills, because we don't know what the world's going to be like. I know that the World Economic Forum and these psychopaths, whether it's, I'm sorry, I'm just going to name them, Bill Gates, George Soros, these people are crazy. And if you really look at their history and where their money goes, you'll see what they're doing. They probably want to shut down the entire internet to create panic and install their new systems. So if they do that, it could happen. I'm not saying it will, but you know what? When I get a flat tire, I'm so glad that I have a spare tire in the car. I'm so glad I have insurance. Not that I want to use it, but it's there in case something happens. So why should we learn new skills? And I'm talking skills that really make sense, like growing food, having your own gardens, you know, understanding how to fix things, because there's always going to be need for people that can fix things, handymen and women, baking. I know it sounds crazy, but learning how to cook, these sound like prepper things, but you know what? It's insurance. It's just smart. You'll be glad you had it if something else happens. And if nothing happens, then it's just another skill. Mending and leadership. I also suggest networking with the right people. There's a lot of people that are negative and they see the world through a negative filter. Everything's a conspiracy. Everything's wrong. They think it's all, you know, BS, or I don't know. It's interesting how many people are so programmed. So get around people that understand at a deeper level what's happening. Even in yoga, it's called Kali Yuga, the end of an age. This time has been projected in the yogic calendar. And so many things are coming together. And self-defense. I'm a big believer that you should have self-defense to protect yourself, whether that's the martial arts, like I spent years learning, Krav Maga, whatever, or even just, I know people hate this, but weapons, not to be violent, but to protect yourself. We never saw so many mass shootings in the past. This is a new thing because of the mental state of the planet and so many drugs going on in our school systems and so forth. Supply chains break you up. So I want you to keep in mind, you should have your medicine. I have hypothyroid, so I have medicine that I need to get, and I try to stock up on it. Antibiotics, you can get fish antibiotics from the vet, and they'll work just as good if you ever need antibiotics to store. I do believe in having food and water available and basic tools. Why? Because they want chaos. And if you look at the rise and fall of empires, there's usually a lot of chaos. We don't want to be the ones that are caught unprepared. I would rather know nothing ever happened than I had some food and water and skills that I never had to use. I think you might feel the same, right? Okay, there's a question here. Let's see. What about investments held with a bank like Merrill Lynch? Is this safe? You know, it's hard to answer that question, Joseph, because I can't tell you what's safe. I can just tell you banks like Merrill Lynch are big banks. And when they want to crush us, they have the ability because they have all our money. So I'm just saying, I'm not telling you what to do with it. You know, I don't know what you should do with your money in a big bank investment, 401k. That's between you and your accountants and your financial advisors. But many of these people have not studied any of this. I'm going to just tell you the truth. But I would say just think about, if I lost all that, what do I have outside of that to protect me and my family? What do I have that's not in their hands that they can force me to do something? And the banks have control of our money. They have control of everything, don't they? So I don't know what's going to happen. There's some people that believe the quantum financial system is coming into place and we're going to be a lot better. And that could be true too. I don't know. I'm just saying, based on the policies that are being passed, they're not working for our favor. They're working for BlackRock. They're working for the World Economic Forum and Apple and Google and Facebook and Zuckerberg. These people are the ones that are making policy that is not benefiting the masses. So just be smart about that. So let me just give you kind of what I've done. And again, this is just supposed to be a primer video to help you out. You can do with it what you want. And I said I'm going to keep it to an hour, so we have about 10 minutes left. I'm going to answer some questions. But if you're buying crypto, I personally use Coinbase. So I use Coinbase. I buy my crypto, whether it's Bitcoin or XRP, and then I will move it off of Coinbase onto a cold wallet like a Nano. And you can look up cold wallet or off-chain storage, because I think it's important to have it with you. Now, you got to be very good at organizing yourself, because if you lose your code, you lose your money. So it's a little bit different. So crypto, I buy it on Coinbase. You can keep it there, but I don't like mine on chain, because then somebody eventually can maybe get into the system.
Where's a good place to buy coins, gold, and silver?
Okay, a good place to buy coins, gold, and silver. I'm going to tell you, I found really good shops. Like when I was in Florida, coin shops, a lot of times they'll have really good deals down there. If you find a really reputable coin shop that's been in business 20, 30 years, that's a good place. Pawn shops, you can also get deals, but you can buy them online at, like there's a website by Mike Maloney, the guy that wrote Hidden Secrets of Money, those videos. His website is goldsilver.com, and he sells them there as well, gold and silver. You can also look at Monex, M-O-N-E-X. It's on the screen here. Andy Sheckman, which is Miles Franklin, and I gave you that video earlier. He has a company that sells metals. And listen, there's a lot of demand for them right now, but that's what I would suggest. Roy's asking if it's bad timing to buy property in the US. Roy, I'm telling you this. I'm not buying right now because I think we're in a bubble. I think we're in a big bubble, bigger than 2008 globally. But I would tell you, you would look at tax liens and tax deeds. If you can pick up a property on a tax deed for 20, 30, 40 cents on the dollar, I would jump on it. Or a tax lien, you're probably never going to get the property, but you could, but you'll get a nice return on your money. And that's going to be backed by the government. That will be the last thing to fall because property taxes are so critical. I would look at tax liens and deeds. You can send me an email if you want, and I'll give you more direction on that. But properties, I think, have money ready because I think there's another opportunity coming. I'm a little bit nervous about what's going on right now with the property. Tax liens, you can also Google on your county website. For every county, there's 3,000 in the United States. They have different rules. So you've really got to do due diligence, but you can do very well with tax liens. Another question?
Should you buy gold and silver through the bank?
Personally, I don't want to buy anything through the bank. I don't trust the bank. If you have a safe deposit in the bank, you don't have access. I used to keep my gold in the safe deposit at the bank. Once you do that, they can break into that anytime and it's theirs. They can steal your money. You give them license to steal. I want you to think of a bank as a vile, disgusting Ponzi scheme that was started a long time ago. The history of money, the goldsmiths were the ones that started holding people's gold, and they realized they could give a receipt to the owners, and the owners would start to exchange receipts. That became the first money. But then the goldsmiths realized that people were not checking on their gold. So they started to print more receipts and became very wealthy off imaginary money. That's what they're still doing today. They're vile. Read the book, The Creature from Jekyll Island. You'll never look at the banking system again the same way. And you'll realize every war has come from the banks. Everything is because of the bankers. They're evil, period. And you'll feel it when you see it. That's all I'm going to say. Hopefully there's no bankers watching. If you are, I'm not talking about you as a teller or whatever. I'm talking about the greedy oligarchs who are screwing over the people of America and the world. And they're screwing everybody. It's just sick. Somebody says, many thanks for your presentation and time. I need to drop off. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Okay. Cash on hand. I also suggest, guys, have other currencies than the US dollar. The Norwegian kroner has always been a strong currency. It's a little bit weak now because of their economic situation, but that's a very strong currency. It's not anchored to any other currencies. The RMB that China has is working with Russia. They're going to back that by precious metals. So that RMB might be a very good investment to have physical currency of the RMB. You might have some challenges to get it, but I bought some when I was in living in London with a Chinese bank. Now, the Singapore dollar is a very strong economy in Singapore. So the Singapore dollar has always held up very well. So if you diversify in currencies, get the real currency in your hands, because if you don't have it in your hands, you don't have anything. Robert Kiyosaki always said, when you have control, you have less risk. When you have no control, you have more risk. So instead of trying to get somebody to make money for you, you need to take the responsibility to do this. And you're going to feel much safer. I lost a lot of money. Guess when I lost it? When I entrusted it to other people to trade for me, or when I entrusted in their investment ideas, or these rug pull crypto companies that screw you over. You've got to understand that when you're putting money out there, it's not in your control. There's more risk. So bring some home and manage it yourself, whether it's gold, silver, different currencies, or starting your own business. You're in control, right? That's really important. When I spoke for Damon John, We're teaching as entrepreneurs, you've got to own your own business. You have a talent, you have a gift, start your business and start sharing your gift with the world. You have it, people want it, and it's valuable. That's why my coaching, listen, I've done financial coaching. I'm about internal coaching now, because it doesn't matter if you have money or don't have money. If you don't have your life right inside and you're not able to be in happiness and joy and understand who you really are, it doesn't matter. So, okay, so I'm going to get you to my website here, but first remember, where there's preparation, there is no fear. So here's the final little couple slides. My recommendation, have food and water stored. I thought my friends that were Mormon were crazy for years. Now I know they're very intelligent. Crypto, I suggest, again, I'd buy Bitcoin, Ethereum, and a couple of the smaller ones. Cash on hand, away from the banks. You can keep money in a bank for paying bills. Real assets, artwork, wine, real tangible things. Get new skills like we talked about, and find a community that connects with you, that resonates at your same frequency, and that understands that they're doing the work. They're researching, they're not watching the news. They're researching, they're diligent to figure out what's going on and to prepare themselves. Communities are so important, guys, and we don't have them. They don't want us to have them. That's why I think they wanted to keep us out of bars and restaurants, because that's where the revolution started when we came to America in the early days. So communion is so important to get with other people. Okay. These are my books. I'm going to give you all a gift for being here tonight. If you go to my website, now keep in mind, I just had these redone and there's still some problems with them, but I'm giving you both websites. I'm going to give you as a gift for being here tonight, my books for free. All those books you can get for free. The latest one is Crack the Code to Stock Market Success. And that outlines what I did for years. And I developed my system called the Let Me In system, which is the access code to get into the vault. And I teach you how to find great stocks and invest in those. And I also teach you about the public school system. And if you didn't know this, the public school system was set up to dumb us down. It was never set up to educate us. It was set up to school us. It came out of Prussia. And when you see some of the documents that they put in place that are still in place today, if you have kids in school, you want to pull them out quickly and homeschool, it'll shock you. And it's all there for your research. I've done it for you. Download that book. Read the chapter on dumbing us down. It's all there. It'll blow your mind. Manifestation Code is really about how we can manifest our life through conscious understanding of the way the universal law works of energy. So it's very simple, but it will help you if you want to manifest. I've manifested a lot in my life. You have too. It's just that if you're unconscious about it, you can't figure out why you keep getting the crap. Change it to the good stuff and consciously manifest, and you'll see your life change. And because I've been a speaker for 30 years and made millions of dollars doing that as well, I've written a book on how to multiply your money speaking. If you're in business or if you want to be a speaker on any topic, I teach you some skills in there as well. All right. So that is the gifts for tonight. Let me see if there's any other slides. I think that was it. Yep. Let me go back. Now it's up to you. So we have 5 minutes left. Is it 5? Okay, we have 1 minute left. I will take 1 or 2 more questions and then we're going to end it. But I will keep you guys, if you go onto the website and get the books, you'll be in my mailing list. And if there's any other events I do, I'll let you know. If you're looking for personal coaching on deeper inner work or any area that I am very versed in and have created expertise, I'm open. Just email me and we can talk about it. But if you have any other questions, let me know. Mike has one here. I've got someone who wants to use my checking account to deposit his crypto at 50% commission payout. That's a red flag. I would never let anybody that wants to do something weird like that. I don't trust them. They'll clean your account out. I've seen so many people do this, guys. Financial scams are bigger now. Even with AI, there's people calling you on the phone that sound exactly like your kid or your mom, and they're telling you they need money. You've got to understand there's so many scams now. Do not do that. I would just say stay away from anything that seems weird. More control you have, the more or the less risk you have. I would never let anybody deposit anything in my account. I mean, to get anything out of it, they can put money in my account if they want to, that's fine. But some of these scams are crazy. Even Zell's had issues. So I want to, again, encourage all of you. This was not about fear. There's a changing world order. It was predicted in the Kali Yuga, which is the yogic calendar. It's the end of the ages called Kali Yuga. It's predicted from the wealth cycles. You name it, it's out there. It is happening, but it has to happen. It's a cycle. We're going to get through it. but we've got to raise our frequency, higher thoughts, higher feelings of love, peace, and joy, and sending love out to people, really, and learning how to use our words effectively. I hope you enjoyed it. It should be available for replay. There's one more question, it looks like.
What were the documentaries on YouTube you suggested?
The documentaries on YouTube. Okay, let me go back to that and I'll leave that up for you for a few minutes here. Okay. Okay, you can see the screen. So I did it so you can see both slides here. Those are the documentaries, and the Changing World Order is excellent. You're going to understand what I was talking about tonight. Hidden Secrets of Money will change your whole look at money. And it's 10 series, but go through it, guys. It is powerful. If you want to read The Creature from Jekyll Island, the book, I think you can also YouTube The Creature from Jekyll Island, and you're going to learn a lot about the Federal Reserve and the corruption they've had to lock us into this prison. And they're trying to do it now with a digital prison. And this is our time to rise up and awaken, because we can take our power back through blockchain and through understanding what they're trying to do. There's only a few of them. There's a lot of us. Yeah.
And can you wrap up with the coins that you mentioned, or the tags?
Okay, so hopefully you guys took a picture of this. They want to know the coins for the ISO 222. Beyond Bitcoin and Ethereum is the ISO coins, and I'll go there, which is right here. Those are the coins. Take a picture of it, guys. We have dinner, so I'm going to have to run, but I hope you got value out of this. If you did, I would love for you, to share that on Instagram, on any of my videos, and just share what you got. Maybe I'll put a video out later and you can just share with me if there's any other questions. And again, I'm open to do more of these in the future, because we need to come together. And I think this is a great way to do it. Okay. Thank you, guys. Appreciate all of you. Oh, there's one more question. Let me see. No, that's it. We're good. All right, guys, I'm going to end it. Have a beautiful evening. Many blessings to all of you and your family. Bye-bye.